All right, so our last standard in the circles unit is about equations of circles. And the equation of a circle is similar to the distance formula or the Pythagorean theorem. If we had a circle and let me label the center of the circle. I'm going to label the center of the circle HK. And the radius of the circle, I'm going to label as R. Now, I'm going to label a point on the circle too as XY. Now, the equation of a circle formula is derived from, you can think of either the distance formula. The distance formula is related to the Pythagorean theorem. Let's relate it back to the distance formula right now. So, if I wanted to find the distance between the center of the circle and XY, which is a point on the circle, the distance between those right now is R. The distance formula is the distance, or the length, which again is R, is equal to the square root of one of your x values minus your other x values squared, plus one of your y values minus your other y values squared. Now, this is not the equation of a circle. The equation of the circle actually relies on you squaring both sides of the distance formula. So we would wind up with r squared is equal to, and what happens when we square the square root is that square root just goes away. And that is our equation of our circle. So our equation of our circle was related to us finding the distance between the center of our circle, HK, and a point on our circle, with the distance between those two being labeled as R, our radius. And then the distance formula is also related to the Pythagorean theorem, because you can also create a right triangle here. And you can also do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or in this case r squared, to help you find the equation of your circle formula as well. So the equation of a circle is directly related to the distance formula or the Pythagorean theorem. So let's write the equation of our circle on the line above. R squared, radius squared, is equal to x minus h, and h is the x value of the center of our circle squared, plus y minus k, and k is the y value of the center of our circle squared. So let's get to work. It says for number 1, for A, B, C, and D, we are going to write the equation of our circle. So you take the radius and you square it. And then the center of your circle, that's our h and our k value. So we wind up with an x minus a 0 squared plus a y minus a 0 squared. If we have a 0 in our center of our circle, it could also just be written as 16 is equal to an x squared plus a y squared. Either or would be acceptable for this. But that would be our equation of our circle. For the next one, same thing. Our radius squared is 100. Our center of our circle is HK. So 100 is equal to x minus 3 squared plus y minus 7 squared. For the next one, G is going to be labeled as our HK, our center. Our diameter is 6, which means our radius is 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So 3 squared is a 9, and that would equal x minus a negative 3 is the same thing as a plus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared. And then for the next one, we square a radius. The square root of 11 squared is just an 11. And that would equal, this is my h, this is my k. X minus a negative 5 is the same thing as an x plus 5 squared. Plus y minus negative 1 is the same thing as a y plus 1 squared. And this is our equation. So this is how we write the equation of a circle. So for number 2, we're going to write the equation of the circle that's below. So we need to identify our center. Our center of our circle is at negative 2, 6. So that's our HK value. To find our radius, we are just going to count from the center of our circle to one of the points that's on our circle. So I'm going to count horizontally. You can also use the vertical one, but horizontally is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a radius of 5. So 5 squared is a 25, and that is equal to x minus a negative 2 is the same thing as an x plus 2 squared plus y minus 6 squared. And that's it. Now the next two, this time we're given our equation. We're going to find the center and radius, and then we're going to graph. So for this one here, our center is the opposite of what it always looks like in our equation. So this looks like a positive 2. It's really a negative 2. And this looks like a negative 1. It's really a positive 1. So my center is at negative 2, 1. You can graph that. Now my radius is always the square root of the number that's in your equation. So the square root of 9 is a 3. So how we're going to graph the radius is we're just going to count up 3, down 3, left 3, right 3, and then we're going to roughly sketch our circle around those points. So counting up 3, I'm going to plot a point. Down 3, I'm going to count a point, or plot a point. Left 3, plot a point. Right 3, plot a point. And now I'm just going to roughly sketch this circle. And that's it. So for the next one, since there's no number attached to the x, that means that the x value of your center is 0. And the opposite of positive 8 is a negative 8. So 0, negative 8 is the center. So that's right here. And then the square root of 4 is 2, so that's our radius. So I'm going to count up 2, down 2, left 2, and right 2. And now I'm going to roughly sketch this circle. All right, moving on to the next page. So this states to find the radius of the circle, given that the center is negative 1, 3, and a point on the circle is 2, 9. So using our circle formula, which is r squared, is equal to x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. I'm going to put negative 1, 3 in for h and k, because that's my center. And I'm going to put 2 and 9 in for x and y, because that's a point on the circle. So I have an r squared is equal to a 2 minus a negative 1 is a 2 plus 1 squared, plus a 9 minus 3 squared. And now I'm going to solve for r. So a 2 plus a 1 is a 3, and a 3 squared is a 9. So I wind up with r squared is equal to a 9 plus a 9 minus a 3 is a 6, and a 6 squared is a 36. So then I just do 36 plus 9, which gives me that r squared is equal to 45. And then taking the square root of both sides, I would get r is equal to, let's do simplest radical form. This can be split up into a 9 times a 5, which gives me that r is a 3 root 5. That's my radius. All right, the next one, we're gonna now write the equation given the center and a point on the circle. So we have to do the same thing as we did in number 5 to find our radius, but then we're gonna use our radius and our HK value to write the equation of our circle. So let's get started. So I'm gonna put 0, 5 in for H and K, and negative 2, 6 in for X and Y. So I have an r squared is equal to a negative 2 minus a 0 squared plus a 6 minus a 5 squared. So I have an r squared is equal to, and a negative 2 minus a 0 is a negative 2 squared is a positive 4, plus a 6 minus a 5 is a 1, and a 1 squared is a 1. So I wind up with r squared as 1. Now some of you may be thinking, okay, now we need to find r. However, when we're writing the equation of our circle, the equation of our circle uses r squared and not r. So I do not need to find r because I found r squared. The equation of my circle is r squared, so 5, is equal to x minus your h, which is 0, squared, plus y minus your k, which is 5, squared. And that's it. You could also write it as 5 is equal to x squared plus y minus 5 squared. That would be acceptable for this one. But these are the only two acceptable answers. All right, I'm going to have you pause the video and try B on your own. All right, so this is your equation for number 10. Number 7 says we have 2 points on the circle, and these represent the endpoints of our diameter, and we're going to write the equation of our circle. So what we're going to need to do to find the center of our circle is we're going to need to find the midpoint. So the center, we're going to use the midpoint formula, which is x plus x divided by 2. And y plus y divided by 2. So my center of my circle, doing a negative 3 plus a 17 is a 14. Divided by 2, we get a 7. And an 8 plus a negative 2 divided by 2, we get a 3. So this is our HK value. We're going to use the center and one of the points that are on the circle. It does not matter which one. I'm going to use point A. And we're going to do the same exact thing that we did up above in 6A and B. So I'm going to have you pause the video and try this one from here on your own. And this is your answer. If we used point B to do this red equation, we would get the same exact thing. So number 8 says, does the following point lie on circle P with this as the center and this as the radius? So I'm going to have you write the equation with the center and the radius right now by pausing the video, and then we'll go from there. All right, this is the equation of the circle. To find out if this point lies on the circle, we're going to put this number in for x and this number in for y, and we're going to see if it's a true statement. So I'm going to have you pause the video to do this on your own and resume to check your answer. So when I put these numbers in for x and y and start to simplify, I do get 64 is equal to 64. So what that means is that, yes, that point lies on the circle. All right, that brings us to the end of this first lesson.